Hello, everybody. Welcome to Popcast on the Rocks, episode 196. We're a podcast that talks about pop culture, things that interest us. And sometimes there's whiskey. My name is John. I'm joined, as always, by Andrea. How's it going?
Happy New Year. It's 2026.
Yeah. Happy New Year. I feel like, look at this. I'm feeling very Ravenclaw right now next to your Slytherin.
Yes, this is true. I didn't even think of that.
Blue and green.
Yes,
So.
although my room is decorated more to your taste.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah,
maybe one of your children will end up being one of us.
One of us. If it honestly, I have not given this any thought. So just off the cuff, if it would be any of my two kids, it would be Evie.
Okay.
I think Cora is too emotional to be a Ravenclaw. Okay. So she could be like a Hufflepuff or a Gryffindor. I don't know, maybe a Slytherin, but yeah, I just don't think Ravenclaw's her destiny, so it'd have to be Evie.
Not to, before I even introduce anything, completely derail us, but sometime we do need to have a show because I know we've mentioned it, like the difference, the proper way to sort houses. You know, there's three possibilities. One, kids get sorted by their aptitudes and the type of person they are and where they'll best belong to flourish, that sort of thing, to enable them in the pursuits that they might be interested in, all that sort of thing. Two, it's to put someone in the house in which they are lacking traits. So for instance, yes. And then the third is the hat just makes it up. Kind of keep the team sort of split, It's this family is usually them, so we'll make it look like it's almost inherited thing, I'll remember the families
but really it's mixed. Yeah.
Yeah. If you're a new family, I'm just going to use you to even out the numbers.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, I was thinking based on personality traits and just observable behaviors. I feel like this is, where my gut would tell me that, that at least Evie would go. She would feel like a Ravenclaw, and Cora's a little more difficult to figure. Probably Hufflepuff. I think
that's what everybody does. But then when you think about it more, J.K. Rowling contradicts that sort of logic. She goes both ways in the books. So anyways,
I feel like Cora would just even if the Sorting Hat was like, oh, I think I need to put you in here for to beef up some other traits, or this wouldn't be your natural environment. I don't think Ravenclaw would be the house. I think it would be a different house.
Okay. All right.
So,
well, when they're 11, you give them the test and
and figure it out.
Yeah.
Yep. Next show we'll flip flop, and then you can talk about your kids and your intuition there.
Okay. Yeah. Right. All right. Well, what we are going to talk about tonight, other than Harry Potter, is which we might not discuss. We'll see how we can bring Harry Potter up on everything as we talk about more things. Where can we
challenge accepted?
Yeah. We're going to talk about what we've been watching. Since we've had the last podcast on the Rocks, it's been Christmas and New Year's, so lots transpired there. The main topic for tonight is A View to a Kill. So last year, 2025, was the 40th anniversary of the movie A View to a Kill, which was Roger Moore's last Bond outing. And there's also the story, or the title is based on a short story written by Ian Fleming in the book For Your Eyes Only. So, though we're a little late,
we followed it.
Yeah, though we're a little late in next year here, we're gonna, for the 40th anniversary, discuss A View to a Kill, the movie, and the short story. See how they compare, contrast, that sort of thing, and have a good old Bond time. But
Happy New Year.
What's more Bondian than cocktails, libations, drinks.
Yes.
What should we be drinking, Andrea?
Yes. As we are looking ahead to the new year, we are also looking forward to several celebrations this month. One of them is a full month celebration, so it's both past, present, and future. January is also known as Gin-uary, to get in on those excellent James Bond puns. So,
sure.
You can make any drink you like, any way you want, with any gin you want. And that is, I will just come right out and say it, that is what I'm celebrating, is January. No surprise, I think. But if you're looking for something a little bit different to warm you up this January, you can also celebrate January 11th. In a week from now is Hot Toddy Day. And then quite a few the following week on the 17th. We have 3 in 1.
Oh, wow.
We have Bootlegger Day, which is basically just like any prohibition alcohol, which is a lot, but also, most famously bathtub gin. It is Baltic Porter Day and also Hot Buttered Rum Day. So,
okay,
an assortment.
Very nice. I've had hot buttered rum, made it. I don't know that I've had a Baltic Porter. Certainly had a hot toddy. I think you had one the other week.
Yes, I did. It was delicious.
Yeah. Well, very good. I'm very happy that you coincidentally, or maybe just the universe was telling me, and I listened, that it was January, because I am also celebrating. Because I looked at this list, I'm like, I'm not going to have any of those things. And then you added January, and it just so happened to line up with what I made tonight.
Yes.
So.
Ooh, I like the glass.
Thanks. Yes. Technical director Alan gave me this. I think
very
they're very
nice.
Bruce Wayne, nice matte black. But
I like that you're in a classic like G&T. I feel like I was in a little bit of like winter mode. So I have a little gin, cranberry, little orange slice, little rosemary, cranberries.
Nice. Yeah, you went with the holiday. I thought, G&T seems like a good bond drink. Even though I have that list now, that thanks to analyze this Mr. Bond, what literary Bond wrote the most or drank the most. And I can look at that in a second. But I used a limequat. That's my citrus in here.
Okay.
Limequat. So they're about the size of a large grape and yellow and quite limey. Yeah, so like miniature limes that look like lemons.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So. Yeah. I don't know why, but just my brain kind of like changed it around just for the fun of it. And I kind of like quat lime better.
It sounds more aggressive somehow.
It does. Quat lime.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Russian, perhaps?
Yeah. Yep. Just my 2 cents. Nothing.
Okay.
Nothing big.
You can create your own breed.
My own quat lime.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So while we're on it, and
the more awkward it gets.
I did bring it up. I want to say again, thanks to the channel analyzes this, Mr. Bond. That's the most consumed boozy beverages by Bond in the books. Bourbon 39 times, sake 35, champagne 30, scotch and soda 21, vodka martini 19, scotch 17, and gin martini 16. So bourbon number 1.
Yeah. I mean, I was thinking about, he does drink like a double bourbon on the rocks quite a bit. I think he opens like the book with a double bourbon, possibly, and soda.
Yeah.
And then I was thinking about like all the times he drinks like scotch and soda. So I was like, yeah, I'm not surprised about that. Martini, I wasn't surprised about either one. Champagne, I wasn't, especially because in the short story, he has like a whole rule about drinking champagne, what, where, when, why, when it tastes good, when it tastes bad, and like when you can have it. Sake. I was the more I thought about it, I was like, I don't really recall this a bunch
Not
in the
once
book.
so far. So we
Yeah.
have,
I
I
thought
mean,
about
we haven't been
maybe
to
once
Japan
I was
yet.
like, yeah. I thought about like maybe once there was like a stretch and I was like, oh, he was kind of like drinking a bunch of different stuff at dinner one time. Maybe I forgot that he drank, but yeah. Yeah. So I mean, I guess we have to get further on in the books to get there.
Yeah. If like the movie, we go, you only live twice, he's just going to be completely lit all the time while in Japan, I guess.
Because he must be. Did he when they were with Dr. No at all? I mean, I know he's not Japanese. I do know that, but I know that they had like a specifically Asian theme to dinner. So I thought maybe he
I don't
also
think so.
serves.
I think it's wines.
Okay,
Yeah.
just wines. Okay, that's what I thought too. But I didn't really like
Yeah.
keep a journal of his drinking. So
I know. What's wrong with us?
what's wrong with us?
Mm-hmm.
Well, we wouldn't have to really keep a
Okay.
journal, I think, for either the short story or the movie, because it's either the bourbon and soda or champagne.
Right. Yeah. He brought up a lot of different specific ones that I really is not familiar with or anything like that. But
Yes. It was really interesting and somehow like a mini encapsulation of all the books. You know what I mean? Like I wrote down in my notes the way that this short story started. I wasn't sure how we'd get to the end of it in 30 pages because he's sitting there
Right.
like, oh, pink champagne has to go with this, and you can only have champagne over there. But I like it before the cabaret, but I hate it at dinner. It was so very, very specific. I was like, oh my God, it's somehow so book bond and somehow also like, how are we going to tell a story? We don't have
Yeah.
room.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But it ended up working out.
We should have kept maybe a diary, hopefully one a little less dangerous than Tom Riddle's diary. Andrea.
Attempt number 1. I see it.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to keep popping in my head at some point now, even if it doesn't really work. It's going to be there. So, okay. What have you watched this week? Or last week? Last 2 weeks? Like you say, New Year's, Happy New Year's. Anything related to that or extra time to watch things?
I mean, not really, honestly. I watched, a little bit of some New Year's programming, the ball drop, obviously, because, you gotta welcome in the new year. But other than that, some football, college bowl day games. The kids have been watching like Christmas movies and things like that. So that's lovely. But then honestly, I felt like my job was basically to finish out Stranger Things, the final season, which is basically as long as this movie. The final episode is solid two
Okay.
2+ hours. So it's commitment.
Okay. Well, that's always a good place to be in. Obligation.
In a commitment. Yes. In an obligation. Yeah, I don't want to do spoilery things, but I will say I think that my feeling in the middle of the season that there was just going to be too much to wrap up held true. So they didn't try. They just sort of stuck with one problem to wrap up. And I think it was the way to do it because it would have felt so frenetic trying to tie up every single loose end that it would have made it unwatchable. It would have been unpleasant to try to like scramble to get to every character and every story and everything. But they tied up enough things that it felt to me like a mostly satisfying conclusion. And they definitely are good at goodbyes. Lots of like, not even pulling on the heartstrings, but like, hauling on the heartstrings. Just emotional overflow um, all set to a soundtrack of Prince's Purple Rain. Like,
okay,
classic. It's really, I mean, it's really good. There's a part of the season finale when they're trying to devise a plan to defeat the bad guy, and they're trying to figure out what soundtrack they're going to set something to, because they have to like use a record to time something out, and they have a bunch of different arguments, and then they end up settling on a Purple Rain, and it's prime. It's very good.
Nice. All right. Okay.
So I wrapped that up and then started on Ashley's recommendation, Badly in Love on Netflix. Something wildly different. And it's an interesting show. It's a dating show. It's a reality dating show, but it's a lot different than like an American, Love is Blind situation, which I've also watched. Very interesting, because they take like a specific type of people to find love together.
Junkie.
And I had to look that up. I knew after I looked it up, I was like, oh, I've seen this before, and I could like tell you what this is, but I couldn't have told you the term for it. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't know Junkie was a term.
Yeah. We're familiar with it without knowing we were. For sure.
Exactly.
Like it's anime. It's a the characterized. Yes. Absolutely.
Like the second, like I looked it up to describe it, I was like, oh, like that character or that character. Like, oh, okay. Like I'm familiar with the concept of it, even though I couldn't have told you it was like a thing, like a named, concept. So yeah.
Yep.
So it was fun. I'm interested to see where it goes.
Okay. We're through episode 3.
Okay.
And one, they do their job with the cliffhangers. I definitely know, like, one of the episodes, you're like, well, they can't leave us there. We're going to watch the next few minutes of the next one to find out what the answer is. And then we have to go to bed. So they do a good job with that. I'm just loving the contrast between like Western culture over the last 30 years and Japanese culture presently, with outcasts of society in a sense. So as you get further into it, maybe we'll discuss it on here and stuff, because there's some particular moments I want to call out to. But I'll just say it's a show with a sense of humor about it, but it's a twist on a dating show, and I think it's actually really informative to look at the contrast between their culture and ours. And then I like the 3 people that are kind of commenting as we go as well.
Yeah, I like.
It's not like a reunion afterwards or in the moment
or hosting. Yeah, they're not like hosting and interacting with the people, which I like, because I always find that very fake and weird. And it's a hard job to do, to get that where you don't seem like, I will say a line at you and I really don't care what you say back to me. Like that's like the vibe I get a lot of the time from hosts. So it's nice that there's not like an interaction really. They're just like commenting separately. And the person who put this together is like, yeah, I did this and I, filmed it, but I didn't like interview them per se on camera with me on camera. Yeah. And also even from the first episode, I'm definitely getting even though these are like outcasts of society, I think they're still like incorporated values or stamped in values of Japanese society that they carry. And it's interesting to see what they value in a potential romantic partner versus thinking about, like you said, what a Western dating show would particularly focus on, or like people from a Western culture might focus on. I can already feel differences there.
Sure. Yep. So yeah, it's interesting. Ashley found this thing that was shared. I guess the new show just started in Korea now. It's a different dating show.
Mm.
It's not
Is it My
available here
Korean
yet. It's starting in
Boyfriend?
November. No, nope.
Okay.
It
I just saw
is.
that because that's Netflix was like, why don't you watch this? And it's like 5
Okay.
Latin American women who travel to Korea to meet boyfriends that they met online. And then they're like,
Mhm.
are we gonna work out? So
I
yeah.
did see that's recommended, yes, but this is not here in the States yet. It's called like
Okay.
Love Diet, and it's all about people trying to lose weight while finding their match. So everybody gets like weighed and stuff or whatever, and they have to be a certain big enough to be accepted on the show. And then they AI model them and show an AI model to the other contestants, like what they could look like if they lose a bunch of weight. And
I
so they
don't
have like a serious trainer on board on the show and stuff like that. That's like going through with them as they. I don't know what the format's really like, but apparently it's a new big show in Korea. So I'll be
I tell
hotly
you,
anticipating that one.
I don't know if I like it, especially after Netflix just ran the like expose behind The Biggest Loser and like all of the harm that it did to all of the contestants and like all the BS that they were kind of fed about, the way that they could lose weight. And they were like, oh God, it's just not sustainable. Like, and like they pushed us
Well,
into like breaking bones and a serious medical emergency. Do you know what I mean? So I feel a little leery
there's
of that type of like feeling or like that type of show because it felt like, ugh, it's not,
there's a
not the
long
healthy
like
way to
there's
do
a
things.
wide range of like where this can go. Like it's
Sure.
a
I mean,
where it can be done wrong or can be done right, and there's a
yes.
lot in the middle probably, because the biggest loser is taking people that are massive for one and putting them in like people that
Okay.
have probably never exercised in like ever, and then like pushing them through intense things. The
Yes.
people in this show are going to be like, they're overweight. They're not
Okay.
like, we should be hospital. You should go to go to the
Well,
hospital here.
Well, I mean, it didn't start out that way on The Biggest Loser, I will say, because I mean, I admit that I was a watcher for a few seasons because it did seem really fascinating, to like watch people work hard, and it was like one of those feel good things, like, wow, these
Yeah.
people are on a journey and they're really pushing themselves. So they really start out like kind of normal, and then as seasons would go on, it got like sensationalized where it was like you're talking about
Right.
like 400 or 500 pound people who had never exercised. And it was just like, just basically just breaking them
Yep.
in order for them to lose like 400 pounds and, crazy stuff. So,
Yep.
yeah. So, I mean, if they're starting out like more like the first couple of seasons and doing it in a safe and gradual, sustainable way, like I could maybe see myself tuning in to check it out. But yeah, I
Yep.
don't want to see like a Biggest Loser style love show.
Well, things to look forward to. We'll see what happens there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Completed The Magician's Nephew, the novel,
Oh, nice. Yeah.
and we're in The Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe now.
Classic.
Watched Die Hard for Christmas,
Yes.
and
You gotta.
and and then Fantastic Four: First Steps I watched again with commentary. So, idea was to get the director's commentary along with that film.
Mm. Do you feel like you learned anything or anything surprising stand out to you?
Um, I've listened to this director speak in a few things, Matt Shackman, and I've really liked what he's said and the in-depth answers he can give to things. But he was there in this commentary with the maybe production designer or something. So there was two things. Like, one, it was a heavy focus on like sets and
Mm.
building this and building that, and that's fine, but like there was a heavy focus on that when I could have used some more things involving
Character
story or character
choices.
development or something like that. Yeah. And
Mhm.
the second thing is it was a little Ari in the way that, like, in a lot of podcasts or something, you start talking to people and they're interested and they bring up whatever. But this was a little like, okay, we have to talk about how this ship was built, this miniature, and then we have to blow smoke up the person's ass that did it. And then every time you have to say, this person did such a great job in this scene. It was amazing. Well,
Sure.
everyone really did a great job in this scene. They were all amazing. And like doing that all the time is like, Matt, you could just compliment someone there. It's fine. You
Yes.
don't have to caveat that also all these other people did great too. We know you have a whole movie to talk about them as well or whatever, you know. It's just so it just didn't feel natural enough.
Yeah, I think there's like a sensation or a feeling that's more recent where if you say somebody did a good job, everybody, there's like a fear that everybody's going to automatically assume that you're implying that everybody else did a bad job.
Right.
And that's just not true. Like you can say someone did an excellent work because they're just on fire that day. Like they're just on it. Like everybody else could be solid and doing really great. And just somebody is just in some next level or zone or whatever that you're just awed by. And it doesn't mean like, you know,
it doesn't mean everybody else is shit. It's another group lie because if you call out someone for doing excellent and then you say, well, you all are doing excellent, we all know that person you first called out is actually receiving the compliment and everyone else is just getting smoothed over. So we don't, it's
exactly.
Just, no.
And it's less meaningful. You know what I mean? Like it's just kind of, it oddly takes away.
No, it absolutely takes away, even though we know the real compliment. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, and it almost feels like you don't even give it because you say it, but then you like backtrack it to include everybody. So then it's like, why did you even say that? But we all know that you really think this now and whatever. I don't know. It feels worse actually to be like, well, but everybody else is doing, you're so great too.
Yeah. Just say what you mean, guys. You know, it's fine. It's gonna be all right.
Yeah.
So that was too bad, but I still enjoyed it in the end.
Sure.
Something I also enjoyed in the end and maybe throughout, we'll see, A View to a Kill. I've been trying to read, you know, Goldfinger, we've talked about on here, the novel, and I'm not all the way through. Fortunately, as things would have it, this short story is like next. So it's like,
and it really doesn't matter.
You know, let's get the movie in. No, right. Exactly. I figured it wouldn't. So I was like, okay, I'm just betting on the case that it wouldn't matter. So,
and it doesn't.
Again, for the 40th anniversary of the film, I rewatched the film. I'd actually rewatched this pretty recently. So it was
good for you.
It wasn't like all that surprising to me. So I rewatched it again now. And then read the book, the short story, which is quick. Have you consumed either of these things prior to this? I believe no, right?
Yeah, definitely not the short story. I had seen A View to a Kill a very long time ago.
Okay. All right.
This is one of the few
kind of
more
came back and you're like,
yes, this is one of the few more movies that I had seen.
Okay. Well, I mean, I know you already
yeah, I was just going to say, this felt still very new. We had very different watching experiences because this was, while things came back to me, it was still a long time ago. And this movie is pretty lengthy. So there was a lot that I like half remembered or felt newer.
Okay. All right. So spoilers abound, everyone, for both A View to a Kill, the short story by Ian Fleming, and the movie A View to a Kill starring Roger Moore, his final Bond outing. Let's start with the short story being it's shorter, much shorter. This is, I have a couple versions of this actually, because I didn't realize that I had a different one, but this is my edition.
Nice.
It's a pretty
Nice.
saucy cover.
I like the
Um,
rider
yeah, yeah, right. From So we got two
from A
motorcycles
View to
there.
a Kill.
Come
Yeah.
with this first one. Yep. So pretty perfect. So this is the For Your Eyes collection. The first story in here is A View to a Kill. The others are For Your Eyes Only, which is interesting that the collection is For Your Eyes Only and one of the shorts is
Yeah.
For Your Eyes Only, right? Then
Yeah.
Quantum of Solace. Then Risico. I don't know how that's said
Yeah.
actually. Risico. And then the Hildebrand Rarity. So
Interesting
interestingly,
collection of
those
titles.
those last two have not been used yet for film titles. So Denis Villeneuve, you are welcome to the Hildebrand Rarity. Let's go.
Yes. I would watch that. I would
I mean,
absolutely
what a way
watch
to
that. And
relaunch
also,
it, though.
right? Just wild. Something like not many people are familiar with.
Yeah.
Dig into the
Yep.
obscurity. Lean into it, Denny.
This
And
picture.
also if you want to keep it as brief, nice. If you want to keep it as brief as some of these short stories, I wouldn't mind that either. I wouldn't mind a tight run of a James Bond film.
Yep, I agree. Absolutely agree. So I didn't know what to expect from this at all, but I thought I got off to a kind of a really nice start. I really liked the picture painted in this.
It
The
sets a
sort
mood.
of yeah, it does. You know, going on the bike, the very visceral. Again, the way the one guy is like speeding through and his lips are getting pulled back and all that sort of thing. But like the contrasting that versus the very peace kind of nature of the woods and everything, and then the violence that occurs within it. So.
Yep. Yeah, I agree with that. It was a heck of an opening scene to draw you in, and then we shift to a completely different but also crystal clear mood of Bond, just cranky and disillusioned, kind of hopeful that, something exciting could pull him out of his stupor, but not really. He doesn't really believe it. And then something does. He's still cranky about it, but he's kind of like, oh, I'm a little hopeful that things could turn out differently than I imagined, and I could be satisfied with what's coming next. And yeah, he just kind of gets yanked into a new mission to solve what seems like an impossible case of a murdered like errand runner, diplomat, kind of both, unclear who this motorcycle rider is, but that he has to do the impossible in solving this murder that how many different foreign agencies are trying to solve but can't. And it ends up being something really simple, just like looking for what's invisible, so familiar that it's invisible. And I really liked that theme that was carried out throughout the book. Like James Bond can become part of the background. He can become the familiar that no one even notices that he's there. So then he can see the things that other people miss, which he ends up doing in finding that our murderer was part of a cover as a traveling group of gypsies who just became so, so much part of the scenery, part of the background, that people forgot that they were there and forgot to notice them.
Yep.
So that was clever.
Yeah, I liked it. I was, sometimes the Bond books, if there's anything that weighs them down, it's little details, and this short story, as you mentioned, already had quite a bit of that, but given how short it was, it just could not be too much, or it wouldn't work. And so I actually enjoyed I was trying to look if there was a little section that I could kind of read out that really sort of sold it, but I really enjoyed his rant about France. It was so unexpected to me, but he's really like, I'm just not having this Paris, and he's just like, you can
Paris
see the
sucks.
guilt on the Germans' faces that are here, and like complaining
Yep.
of the food, and like just
Yep.
and the service, and like the women are going to steal your wallet, and like just the whole
They look
nine yards.
fake.
But you guys
Yeah.
gonna mix it in with a little bit of like, fantasy. Like maybe I could,
Mhm.
could catch this woman here that's, not what I'm expecting. These would be the perfect. So it's just was kind of a cool look into his, I'm by myself, and his psychology at the moment. Um, Even if we got a little
Mhm.
too like the specifics of this drink or that, because I don't want that. I never want that stuff to go away, because that's a lot of what makes Bond different than other things. But
Especially Book
yeah,
Bond.
yes, especially Book Bond.
Yeah, I mean, I felt like Fleming really hit us hard with the, granular detail early, and then just like zipped from there. He was like, okay, I've done my thing, gotten into the nitty gritty and really set the stage to describe things. And now I'm just going to like plunge forward into the story. And I felt like it all worked, that I'd gotten my fill of the detail and gotten that, really set scene so that I could just move forward and kind of accept in even some of the glossy things, even some of the things that like, if you sat down and really puzzled things out, it would be like, huh, would that work? Or like, would that not work? But all fell together within the 30 pages and felt like, yep, I can accept this. I can accept,
Mhm.
the movement of this case and the way it was solved.
Yeah. What I enjoyed in the like you say, about 32 pages, was that we covered a lot of ground. Like, it wasn't complicated, but a span of time occurred, and we
Yep.
went. I just felt like quite a lot happened, and this is a difficult thing to do. I think in a lot of mediums, is to make it feel like a lot occurs. So when you get to the end, you were on a journey. It was meaningful, but it didn't take
Mhm.
forever. And in actuality, it didn't drag, and it didn't feel rushed
Mhm.
either. So like that's just a tough
Right.
thing to do. I see it all the time
Mhm.
with people that are like aren't experienced writers, and they're doing comic books, and it's like they just don't know how to pace it at all. It's just I read this 30 pages, and we're barely anywhere from where we started. Or we went
Yep.
so far so fast that I felt nothing. There was no details, so
Yep.
I was not invested. So I think this
Right. I'm
hit
not
the right
connected.
right. This hit the right balance
Yeah.
for a short story.
I agree. I really liked it. Um yeah. It's just I feel like it's too bad A View to a Kill isn't more like the short story. I mean,
So, yes, the
not
movie.
not that the movie isn't its own sort of enjoyment, but I would watch the heck out of this short story as a film.
Yeah. So could this be made into a film? Do you think? Like embellishment, like it's a little, there's more connection for the gypsies, they're part of Spectre or Smersh in this case or something. There's
Totally.
it's not just a little hideout, it's an underground lair. There's been maybe a
Totally.
couple more of these murders in various spots that are similar or something, like this spread
Yep.
out a bit. I don't know, something like that. Yeah,
Yeah.
could be good.
And honestly, everything that goes on in a page takes longer to visually absorb. So like the way that you can like
Right.
read that time has passed like in a book and like things happening just takes longer on screen. So you really could have more of this in a film that just takes longer, and you don't have to add too many things, but yes, you would have to add something for
Right.
sure. But I think you could keep like a tight hour 20, hour 30 runtime for sure out of
Yeah.
this short story.
That's our screenplay, Andrea. Let's go. I know you got all the free
Let's
time in
do
the
it.
world. This just
I do. I do.
okay. Yeah, I mean,
2026,
it could be
new
good.
year, new goals.
Yep. Um, yeah. Last thing I'll say, I think that the Marianne Russell character was fun. It was kind of
She
fun how they
was.
met. It was a little bit of fun dynamic. She was never, like often it has to be this sort of standoffish thing first, and then she gets
Mhm.
wooed. It wasn't really
Nope.
that. It was always like kind of friendly and
She's just
cordial. And
open.
yeah, we're gonna go out to grab a drink later and stuff. And then, you know, yeah, it was just good. Felt natural and nice and not overly
Yeah.
complicated. And
Yeah, she was fun. She was funny. She had like her own way of doing things. Like I loved the little quirk about, I bought this beat up old car and I just zoom it through traffic because
yeah,
everybody else with their nice cars is like, no, don't crash into me. So she's like, I found a way to beat Paris traffic. Great humanizing detail. And then, like you said, she's cordial and friendly and wants to, work on the case. She's not, flighty. She's focused.
right.
But then, yeah, she's like, yeah, we could go out for a drink. We could have fun. And then at the end, when he's, figured out the secret lair and gotten his way in, but he's in a little bit of trouble, um, with the other guys in the fight, she bursts in and she's like, yeah, I'm basically the cavalry. And I like her line of like, sorry, I hope you'll forgive me. I just couldn't wait. I really wanted to have that dinner. It didn't feel like a female, like, I don't know, the way that like
No, it wasn't a
some
girl
Bond
boss
girl,
moment. It was like,
but it wasn't like a ditzy moment either. It wasn't like I just
no,
couldn't wait to have our dinner. You know what I mean? It was a nice
right.
blend. It was just like a person. She's,
Yes.
you know,
That's me. It felt
being a
natural.
little quippy. Yeah, it was a
Yep.
little quippy, a little funny, but also like, I do want to have dinner. I like you. We
Mhm.
don't have to shy away from like romantic or sexual interest as a motivating factor for her, but it doesn't mean she has to be dumb or ditzy about it just because she likes him.
Right.
So yeah, it
No,
was
she was
a
totally
nice blend.
confident the whole time. Yep. Mhm. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
to say nothing of the female
How dare
representation
you?
in
How dare you,
this
Andrea? I
movie.
knew you were gonna go there right now.
I'm
And
sorry, it's a lot, man. There is a spectrum
okay, well,
of female representation in this movie, and there's not a whole lot that's like in the middle.
sure. I so I think that going into the movie, A View to a Kill, really takes the name from the short story and not a lot else other than France. They're in
Yeah,
France.
yeah. I wrote like, if you really look for some loose similarities, it's that there's like a dead ally that sparks an investigation that James Bond has to retrieve something, the Paris setting, and in the very beginning, working with a female MI6 agent, and then we're done. That's it.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Hmm. Well, so it was like watching it for the first time for you. So we gather that
Yes.
you're not a big fan of our main Bond girl, but how about the movie in general? I know you're not.
I
We know you're not a giant Roger Moore fan to begin
Yeah,
with, but
yeah. I mean, I this film is difficult to kind of summarize because I really like parts of it and then I really don't like others. You know what I mean? Like there are some pieces that I really enjoy and then there were some parts that were difficult for me. Um
okay.
like the opening I found to be a lot. Like the whole ski thing was just rough. Um and
What?
it's
Uh,
because
okay.
no, it's because the stunt work is really difficult for me because they're really bad at hiding Moore's stunt double throughout this movie. It's real rough. So it's hard for me
Hmm.
to watch some of like the big stunt scenes and like see that and see how unbelievable it is. And also, like, I mean, Roger Moore is spry for his age, but he's old. He's old, and a lot of people in this movie look old, and it's difficult. It's difficult to look past sometimes, especially when we're doing things like randomly snowboarding down a hill on one, snowmobile ski. Yeah, it brings to mind Brosnan and his whole like windsurfing thing in Die Another Day. That's also difficult to watch, and just find, this is doable. So
yeah.
That's
for me,
that's
really,
what I'm saying. Like sometimes it's hard. Sometimes it's difficult to look past that, and then other times, like car chases. Anybody can do a car chase. I'm cool with that one.
It bothers me less in the Roger Moore era films, just because, like, I'm really appreciative of, in those movies they really stepped up the car stunts, and then given the tone of most of his films, I'm just like perfectly fine to let it go, because in other films, sometimes it's really like, it's the biggest stunts where you can see that it's someone else or whatever. But in this one, for a while, especially early on, it's like you can see a lot of moments stand out where it's obviously not Roger Moore. But we all know it's not going to be Roger Moore. It was none of them anyway. It was never Sean Connery in the like, what if they had a bigger stunt? Like
they catch like full face shots at some points, and I'm just
know. Yes.
Like, guys, we couldn't hide any of this better.
Yeah.
But and it is. It's so hard to like stitch that too, because you see the full face, plus like how old Roger Moore is. So you can't believe in the collective lie. You know what I mean? Like, of course we all know when we go to the movies that like 90% of the time, 80% of the time, whatever percentage you want to believe, there's no actor that 100% does like every single stunt that's ever happened. So we just all know that there's a stunt double in there somewhere at some point.
Yeah.
But we collectively choose to ignore it. But this one is really hard to get in that mindset.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
also,
I'd say
speeding away as a glacier was like, this isn't even camouflage. Just be on a boat, dudes.
Well, yeah, when it's so moving, when it stops amongst other things, then it looks real.
When it stopped, absolutely. But then, like they speed away in it. I was like, okay.
John Kern right there. I love the song in this movie. Always have loved the song. Yes. I thought the opening like title sequence was sort of a mixed bag for me, but I had to call out the 007 on the breasts. That was glowy. That was a good reveal there. There's a few cool shots, and those are kind of lame.
I like a lot of the neon that they use at different moments. I mean, it's very 80s, but it fits the song, which is very 80s.
Yep.
And like some of the neon looks really cool, and then sometimes they're just like women in some fire that looks really awkward.
It's kind of creepy. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it was weird. And sometimes like the fire feels like really small and out of proportion, and sometimes it was like really big, and I was like, what? Why? Like, I feel like we could have gone metaphorical rather than literal here. But
it doesn't really fit with the rest of the movie either.
No.
Like, what's this have to do with anything? But
yeah. I mean, Bond songs generally don't, but it's just it feels a little awkward here. It feels
something,
noticeable. Yeah. So good song, rough intro sequence.
On the other hand, I liked a lot of Roger Moore's fashion choices here, or this Bond iteration looks. I thought a lot of things were on point. Good ties, a nice like red and white pinstripe shirt that could be loud and garish, but was not. And just a lot of nice, clean suits. A couple of things later on that I'm not as much of a fan of that they do in some of the Roger Moore era films. Some of these jackets and stuff that could be cool, like casual jackets and stuff, if they were sort of a different fit, or maybe if Roger Moore was like, you know, more muscular or something, they could work
different
out,
build,
you know, like some of I could imagine maybe a little different tailoring and being on Harrison Ford as Indiana Jones, and that might work, you know. But so some of the casual stuff was less so working for me, but the suits were all great.
Yeah, there was a moment with like a gray jacket that was, you know, like an actual jacket, not just a suit jacket. Where I feel like this is a perfect illustration. It felt long. It like belted and then it flared out. I was like, oh, it should just maybe been a shorter jacket, maybe a different material, because the gray looked nice, the color worked, but the fit of the jacket, I really just, I don't know why it stood out to me. I was like, oh, that's just the wrong cut here.
Yeah.
It feels blousy and odd, whereas I think it was meant to be like sporty and cool. But again, right color choice, just not quite working.
I think it's 80s, you know, again, they were going with 80s things, and some of that was just, but it just didn't feel right for Bond, you know. At least like I give it credit, like Moore has his times where he's blending in, you know. Anyways, that it's like just like normal guy here, you know, he's fits in with whatever crowd, he's not going to stand out. So as a spy would.
Well, and I felt like they really cleverly nodded to that when he's posing as James Stock of the London Financial Times, and he's in like a beige suit. I'll give him credit, like it looks good and it's bland. So you could just be anybody anywhere and not very memorable. So it kind of works on both levels. So yeah, I liked that suit for that reason. I feel like we gotta talk though, because we both saw it. The biggest fashion misstep of this show.
Yeah, the tracksuit.
The tracksuit. Oh, it's so bad, and it makes him look awkward. It's not even that he looks old; he just looks bad. It's bad. It's embarrassing.
Because if you compare it to, like, you know, he's sleuthing, he's sneaking around in Moonraker, and he's all black, so he's got some like sort of decent black trousers and a kind of a cool, like it still looks good, and he's sneaking around. But this is like, why are we wearing this? Like, what this
leisure
is?
Wear.
Yeah,
gonna go like do some tai chi and play mahjong. Like, I don't know.
Yes, that's he's either part of a like some sort of like Russian gang out east, you know, and this is just plain the dress code, or once you suggested there's some sort of evening at the old folks' home.
Yes. Well, it's embarrassing because it is like a very like, you know, gentle, casual evening activity kind of wear. And it's just not really practical actually for a spy mission. Like, you don't have pockets, you can't put things, you know, you don't have like dirt, like hardy materials so that you can, you know, get scraped or cut, or, you know, I don't know. It just feels like an odd choice. It's soft, casual clothing that I don't feel like serves any. It feels like it could get caught on stuff. You know, you want sleek clothing that really conforms to your body, so you're not catching your fibers, leaving trails or whatever. Yeah, it was a bad. That whole sequence was a bad moment all around. I think in this film, the fight was real bad there too.
Yeah, to me it was fine, other than like the big guy. He just sort of like lays down nicely on the conveyor belt.
He does.
Like,
you can watch him. He like, that's another like terrible edit in this film. He like lays himself down on the conveyor belt. He's like, oh, just let me get here for you. Plus, like, the first guy in the box was funny. The second guy in the box I found less funny.
Sure. Mm-hmm. Um, what else? What else? So I love the chateau. I love the look
Yeah,
of the place. So we got a couple cool locations here.
gorgeous.
When it gets to the States, it's less interesting, but yeah, over in France there, it's cool. We have our chase sequence, or the car gets messed up. That sort of reminds me of
Mhm.
Brosnan going through on the boat through
Yeah,
town, you know.
that's what I was thinking. Like, this
Um,
is definitely a classic chase, and I really enjoyed all aspects of it. Like, I felt like it was both inspired by previous Bond, felt very appropriate for Bond, and then like inspired future Bond
yeah.
chases. Like, just keep this style going.
hmm But I have to say, before I rewatched this a while back, I had it in my head that I really didn't like this movie, and um,
Hmm.
my score for it really went up. Like Roger Moore, he looks
Sure.
younger in here than he does in like Octopussy for whatever reason. He does seem like he has lots of energy, and
Yeah.
he's really confident and go get him. Like he's just bold and his all his stuff. His little like plays and his quips with his assistant there, Tippett or whatever, is
Sir
funny. Like
Godfrey
he's like
slash
giving him a
Tibbets.
hard
That
time.
was hilarious.
Yeah,
I loved that whole thing. And it was clever. Like, that's the sort of dialogue I have good use for. Like, it's funny and like, really builds like a relationship. But then yeah, it's like clever because they're also clearly using it to detect listening devices in the room. And when they figured out, they're
yep,
like, got it, cool, got a plan. We're just going to keep this up. It's going to be part of our like characters now, to do this sort of like back and forth. And I'm the overbearing master and you're the, bumbling servant, you know. So I enjoyed
yep,
that. It was funny. And then it allowed them to have like go outside and have a real conversation, which was kind of cool.
yeah. So let's see. What about our villains? We have
Yeah.
Christopher Walken as our main Bond
Hmm.
villain. That's
Hmm.
that's a treat, I think.
Yes. Yes. He is great in this. He has a really great look for a villain where he's like almost, in my opinion, like very almost handsome and attractive, but there's just like something off. And then he's just creepy. And he like leans into the creepy very well. And like he can really convince you like there's just like little part of you that has a niggling doubt is right because I am psycho. And I thought that really played out with his personality. Um yeah, I enjoyed him as a villain. I think that there were like some very classic villain traits to him, where every villain I feel like has like a temper that gets in the way sometimes, like they hate to lose, um and that can trip them up sometimes. Or like there's classic villain training scenes with like a woman that they're in their employ. So like when he and Mayday are doing their wrestling and whatever, I was like, this is like some classic villain stuff, like training to get better in this like specific martial art, or sword fighting or guns or whatever. There's always a thing. But somehow Walken makes it feel not too tropey. He still retains a uniqueness to the character and gives him some personality that is just embodied within Zorin and not just I'm like any Bond villain.
Yeah, no, I agree.
My take anyway.
He could be. Yeah, a lot of Bond villains can be way too over the top, and
Mhm.
I think he strikes good balance. I think my biggest issue really isn't the fault of this film. It's that
Mm.
I would also watch Batman Returns this year, and
Mm.
he's Max Schreck. He is one of
Mhm.
the three villains in that movie,
Mhm.
and he's a corrupt businessman in there too, and
Yep.
I just that's to me my favorite Christopher Walken role.
Sure.
It's a character that, as far as I'm aware, is not in the comic books. If he is, it's very small, and it really brings he really brings him to life. Like, you get
Yeah.
the Walken like aggression and meanness and everything in that, and it's just, to me, a superior role and superior performance to this. But if I hadn't seen that,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
enjoy this quite a lot.
Yeah, and I feel like the sort of downfall again isn't, well, I guess it isn't Christopher Walken's fault. It's a little bit of the plot, where they spend a lot of time developing this whole like horses and racing thing, like his focus, but then suddenly they're like, oh yeah, and like he wants to blow up Silicon Valley because of his microchips. Like, it's a little underdeveloped how we get here. And then he has his big like plan that he reveals in the blimp to everybody, and it's a little sudden. Do you know what I mean? Like, that for
Sure.
me was a little difficult, because we had a really, I feel like, awkward jump cut of getting to the blimp, where we'd really been going the horse's angle, microchipping, like we had to figure all of that out. Suddenly, like 2 minutes, he's ex KGB, he's an experiment, like the Russians own him and they financed him. Jump cut to the blimp, and now we're gonna be the dominant microchip people because we're gonna eliminate Silicon Valley and take over the American. You know what I mean? Like, his villain arc, I felt like, let him as the character down. His villain plot, his point, because it just didn't feel that fleshed out and well thought out. And he feels like a smart villain. Like, he dispatches of people in very efficient ways. He's scary without like concocting elaborate schemes.
Right.
He just like dumps
Yes.
people out of blimps, or just gonna knock them out and drown them in the lake. He's gonna set them on fire and shoot people. Like, it's just very normal stuff. Whereas like Goldfinger, in particular, I'm thinking of like the slow laser for Bond dying. It's like, come on,
Yeah. Right.
this is just,
Yep.
so silly. But Zoran feels like, yeah, let's just get to the killing stuff, and I'll do enough to make it look kind of like believable and accidental, so I don't really get implicated, but I do just want to kill you.
Yeah. I
feel like some of his
into it much
scariness
better
is,
that way.
yeah. Yeah, I just feel like some of his scariness is let down a little bit by the kind of lack of elegance of his, villain plot.
I guess to me, on like multiple multiple rewatches, that doesn't bother me so much, other than I do think that the KGB and the experiment stuff and all that was not necessary. We didn't need to bring that element in. Like, it really
It's so
didn't.
random.
It didn't add anything to him being more terrifying or scarier. We're gonna judge him through his actions and stuff, anyways. Other than you just saying this stuff, so it didn't that didn't hurt it for me, but it wasn't necessary. We didn't need that in there. It didn't really make a difference.
Yeah, like I said, it felt to me like just smashed in. Maybe like, oh, like James Bond so often has like, the Russians as an opponent. Maybe we just need to like throw a little, Russian connection in there. Could have done without it.
Right.
Like I said, it made
the horse
the
stuff
jump
was all
to the
just a
blimp.
cover.
Right. And so I felt like we could have like spent those 2 minutes that we spent, talking about the KGB stuff, transitioning into like, yeah, like just transitioning into, here's like the next level microchip scheme.
You were too distracted when we learned about it during Bond's tracksuit investigation and fight scene. You were like, I can't stop thinking about the tracksuit, and then the
I
guy
can't.
just laying down the conveyor belts. That like all the important information right
It was
there.
rough.
You're just like, nah, yeah,
Yeah. I mean, I got it. I got there. It wasn't like, they
Mhm.
didn't try, but I felt like it could be smoother. It just felt a little like herky jerky from going from like horse racing microchips to we're going to dominate the microchip market.
Yep. So let's talk about the Bond girls a little bit. We've got a number of them in here,
Mhm.
but really for sure, Stacy and Mayday.
Yeah. Like I said, two very different specimens of woman.
Mm-hmm. Yes. I was so Mayday, I think, is a fun character.
Hmm.
I'm always been confused by her strength. Like at one hand, they're like, oh, she's like superhuman strength. We're doing like a Jaws thing. Like she's more than what could be possible, what's normal. But then, she's like wrestling with Zoran and she's clearly not stronger than he is, but
Yes.
he's an experiment too, but we don't see any other examples where he's like, wow, he's crazy, superhumanly strong or whatever.
Yep.
So I'm always confused by that. And then
Yeah.
I want to know if there's any world where she actually makes the choice she does at the end to sacrifice
Mm.
herself. Other than those two things, I think she's a fun, interesting character. But
Yeah. Yeah. I like her a lot. Especially, kind of in the beginning where, we see her assassinate Bond's companion who's giving him the intel on Zoran. And then they have their whole like Eiffel Tower scene and she just like wraps him up and dangles him over the side. And I was like, dang, I'm actually scared. Like that was good. Um, and then she just like fearlessly leaps off the tower and parachutes away. Love it. Love it. So yeah, so she's a really fun character. She feels, like really believable, really committed, and yeah, capable of doing incredible things. I agree that it's a little bit confusing to kind of figure out the source of her strength and how far superhuman that is. Um, but yeah, that was something I was okay to kind of look past for a while. Um, I did find it interesting that when she and Zoran were on to Bond and, he appears in her bed suddenly and is just like, well, I'm, waiting for you to take care of me personally. She's like, yeah, I'll come do it. And Zoran's like, yeah,
yeah,
after they just had their romantic interlude. So I think the first like real hint that you get that Zoran might be, truly like psychopathic, that he could just disassociate and not really feel and just send her in there. Um, yeah,
sure.
their relationship feels believable. Her commitment to him feels believable. And the choice that she makes to stay at the end, when they're gonna fish out this explosive device, and they do it. And again, like props to Grace Jones for like the work that she did there to like really convey the effort to lift Bond. I thought that was great work, because it's hard to do something physical and not make it look silly.
Sure.
So great work there. But yeah, then they get it out and get it on this like little cart, and the handbrake fails, so she has to stay with it so it'll actually get out and not blow it up. I It's hard because I get her idea that she's like sticking it to Zoran rather than saving the day. And I don't know if it feels, I mean, I feel like she could have lived because they got it out and there's like a second where she could have jumped off and backed off and totally not died. But it was more
Okay.
important to her to look at Zoran and be like, gotcha. It was me. I want you to see me foiling your plan. So
Okay. Sure.
that's how I sort of tried to talk myself into that track of her mindset. You know what I mean?
Hmm. Yep.
It is
Okay.
hard though. It doesn't feel super believable that she's interested in being a good guy.
Right. Yep. And then I have quite a few other notes, but the one other thing we for sure talk
Oh,
about,
sorry.
other than Zoran does say more power, and of course
We are
we have to think more cowbell. Of course, we had to think that.
obviously.
Uh,
Of course we did. We are of a specific generation that would that
yes.
triggered me so immediately.
So there's that, and then Stacy yet. So I actually think so from memory. I remember the elevator scene and stuff, and so in my mind, I'm like, oh my gosh, she was so annoying
Mm.
and awful. But rewatching it, these last couple times, I'm like, I don't think she's that bad. She's pretty competent. She has her geology stuff. I think it's more the way she's played than the way she's written. She's a
I agree with that.
little less, because, and it's, I don't know, you'd be freaked out in these situations, but she's pretty cool as a cucumber when, like, all of a sudden there's a turnaround. It's like, oh I was just assaulted in my home, and then she's fine, and then it's like fire, and I'm driving the fire, all this sort of, and then I'm fine. So, but then there's the freak out moments, like in the elevator and stuff. So it's just sort of all over a little bit that way. But I don't think what she
Mhm.
actually does and who she actually is that bad. I think it's a pretty decent character.
Yeah. I and I mean, I'm a little bit there because she didn't seem annoying at first. And she actually seemed like her backstory was very interesting. Like, I came from a wealthy oil family. Zoran took it over in like the shell company. I'm fighting him with everything. It cost me everything. I'm basically, my house is just like a front because this is all I have. It seemed really interesting. And she seemed like, okay, I'm, working for the state. This seems very normal people stuff. And also obviously conveniently helpful in, uncovering what Zoran wants to do. But yeah, then we get into, some of the situations and she kind of rolls with some things. And then in other situations, it's like, James. And it's really difficult because even if you want to allow that, you know, I don't think I would be super cool as a cucumber in a burning elevator. That scene is scary. The fire gets wildly out of control really fast, and it would be terrifying. It would be genuinely terrifying to be trapped in that blaze because it's not small. And so I think I would also freak out and I would say things like, "Oh my God, don't leave me. I don't want to die." But the way that she says them feels performative. It
Yes.
feels
Yeah.
very like helpless female. It doesn't feel like genuine terror. So it's
Hmm.
really hard because you just feel like somebody gave her like play a damsel in distress and she just did that without putting the
Sure.
feeling behind it.
Sure.
So
Yep.
yeah, so that's
Yep.
where I run into the trouble with her because she does have some interesting moments. She has some smart moments, and then she completely gets written like undercut to just be this like tropey, you know, DID
I,
damsel in
s- I
distress. Um,
still don't know if it's the writing though, because like the things she literally
or the
does, it's
acting,
like,
yeah, I
oh,
don't
here's
know.
the chart, this is like what's going to happen with the fault lines, and like it's just the way she's playing it, the words coming from
Yeah,
her mouth. I don't know that I believe it as much as I
yeah,
should,
sure,
but like,
sure, yeah. That's fair. That's fair. I don't know exactly who or what's to blame here, but
mhm.
it is really rough sometimes. Plus, it is really hard to get over the look and the sound that she's just like playing a version of Suzanne Summers. Like, it's a lot.
Okay.
It's a lot.
Okay.
Like, she's like Christy from Three's Company thrust into a James Bond movie.
Okay. Okay. So overall, knowing you're not a big Roger Moore or Bond fan, it's the first time coming back to watch this in many, many years. Overall, how did you enjoy it or not?
Overall, it's solid. I feel like there are a couple of things that could have been trimmed or, made room for better plot development. And I do find fault with the character of Stacy. It's hard to watch at some moments. But overall, it's really not that bad. There's, I think, a good mix of Bond charm and action, and his use of puns is on a much better balance than some other Roger Moore movies. Sometimes they are silly, but sometimes, it all comes together in a cool moment. So yeah, and Zoran's a great bad guy. Like I said, I find him very believable. He has very down to earth plots for getting rid of people. Even if I thought the overarching plot could have, his master villain plan could have used a little work. So enjoyable, a solid Bond outing.
Okay, nice, very good. That's nice. That's perfect. I'm glad you have another Roger Moore movie under your belt that is that's all right. It can always be one of those ones that you put on the background for holidays and stuff. It's like you get a little a chuckle here and there, some nice scenery, whatever. And
Well, and I didn't realize this, but I mentioned kind of late in the game to Chris that I was going to be watching that I was watching A View to a Kill for the podcast, and he was like, I kind of enjoyed that one. We should, put it on, and put it in the background when we play some cards, and I can watch it with you, or I could just sit down and do some work while you watch it. And I was like, well, it's too long. I can't restart it at this point because I'll never finish it. But yeah, so I didn't realize he really enjoyed it, and he is also a bigger Roger Moore fan than I am. He even he did a little bit of defensive maneuvering on Octopussy, and I was like, oh boy, I don't know. You may have to rewatch that with me, buddy.
But for the next anniversary of Octopussy, we'll have to talk about it and get him on the show. So
we'll see if his defense hold up. I don't know how recently he's watched it, so we'll see though. I mean, I feel like he's the type to find the bright spots. So we'll see.
Yep. No, I can find bright spots in most Bond films now. Most of them I enjoy the ride. Roger Moore to me only has 3 really good movies. Maybe even 2 really good movies, but a bunch of other ones that I find enjoyable. And I loved coming back to A View to the Kill this last year, or maybe it was the year before, for the first time in a long time, and really finding a new appreciation for it. And so that kind of held up here, having watched it so recently again. I knocked my score of it a little bit, but overall, it's a fun time. So that's A View to a Kill. 40 years of A View to a Kill. Craziness right there. Let us all know if you are fans of A View to a Kill, if you've read the short story. I don't know what we'll do next in the Bond world. We missed a number of the other anniversaries this year. We did talk GoldenEye. Yes, we talked GoldenEye. And that was an anniversary. And then we missed Spectre and Thunderball, I believe.
Oh, yeah. That's right.
So if I want to get in trouble with the Bond fan community, we need to talk about Thunderball yet, because I have hot takes So,
ooh, okay.
maybe we'll just get
Let's
to it when we
see.
get to the novel, But
Yes.
I don't
Let's
know what they'll
see
be for
where.
anniversaries this year, but this last year was a pretty big slate to them.
Yeah, it doesn't look like there's a lot.
And
Casino Royale's coming up on 20.
that will
If you want to feel old.
right. Yes. Yeah. This next summer or something. Yeah. Or no,
Yep.
next fall. Yep.
Yeah, I don't remember exactly, but yeah, that
2006.
looking like. Yep, 2006. It's looking like potentially the only one.
Okay. Well, this year for Bond will be the video game, and then the anniversary for Casino Royale. So, it'd be a good
I'm
opportunity
interested
for
to see
me
what I
to go.
think.
Has it been a while?
Sorry, go ahead. It has. I mean, I watched like the full set of Daniel Craig movies before his last, and I think like I caught Casino Royale again post. But yeah, it's been a little bit.
Okay. Well, I was going to rewatch that one with Ashley sometimes because it's one of the only ones that she cares about. So,
Sure.
well, it'll work out
a good one
for this year sometime. Yeah, of course. Okay, everybody, thank you for joining us for our James Bond conversation. Hopefully you had a good cocktail and a good time. Let us know in the comments what your thoughts are on A View to a Kill. Please like, share, and subscribe in all the applicable places. We're live now on YouTube, X, and Twitch, so any of those places are good. We're also on podcast directories like Spotify and Apple Podcasts. You can leave reviews there. You can leave comments. The video version of it is available on Spotify. We're on other podcast directories as well. So check us out. Killing the Flower, they wrote our theme song. They're on music streaming services. Trackmouse34, Mike, our friend, he's been putting out racing content recently, some different videos on his car and stuff. So it's a good thing to look at. Peter J. Gilbertson, his books are available on Amazon.com. And then our other channel, Ohio Anime, it's gained some subscribers. So check us out there. January this month is going to be a big month for anime. If you subscribe to us through Podcast on the Rocks on any of the podcast directories, you'll automatically get the anime show as well. If you don't, and you're just here on YouTube, go to Ohio Anime for our anime content. We got Jujutsu Kaisen Season 3 coming up. We have Frieren Season 2 coming up. We have Hell's Paradise Season 2. And that's just the big things off the top of my head. Plus, we're continuing along with Tojima Wants to Be a Kamen Rider. So all kinds of things going on there. But that's it. I went longer than I intended to. Apologies there. But thanks for everybody for joining us. And Andrea, thank you as always. And see everybody next time.
Of course. Cheers, everybody.